All right, guys, what's going on? I figure let's play a little game where we talk about comics and stuff. I figure we'll start maybe a tag video if anybody wants to play. And these videos usually work with, we come up with a theme, category, questions, and then you tag three people and then they make a video. The only thing I think I want to try to add to that, see if this works, is by the time it gets down to these tag videos have traveled through the community for a while and stuff, nobody's really sure who's tagged who and who has not been tagged and who has been tagged. So maybe let's try at the beginning of the video, mention any videos you've seen of people who have been tagged. That way people can get their videos seen, and that kind of gives some people a clue on who hasn't been tagged. So right off the bat, what I think I'm going to come up with is that I'm starting to get back into the comics as I've cleaned up this room here and there and getting on a big John Byrne kick. And I'm one of those guys during the 80s, you know, Byrne could do no wrong for me. After a 40-year career, I think yeah, that was a good era for him. Maybe not his best, but it's good era, man. Put a lot of good stuff. So I think the tag video is your favorite John Byrne comic or comics. And John Byrne has done covers. He has co-plotted. He has written for other people. He has written and drawn a lot of his own stuff. So there's 40, gosh, man, over 40 years of material to pick from. And what I'm going to go with quickly here is a Secret Wars 2 crossover, 1985, Fantastic Four to 85. Um, and this was right before he was starting to give us hints a couple months later that he might be leaving Marvel, to do Superman. He kind of threw in some hints there. Thus, 6 months later, issue 291 of Fantastic Four. Okay. Now, this is 1985. I was 12 years old, and I'd been, reading some John Byrne Fantastic Four. Don't get me wrong, and all that stuff. And it was business as usual. Villain. Reed Richards is smart. She-Hulk is funny, sexy, and strong, and all that stuff. And in the middle of all this, they had Secret Wars 2 going on. And during this series, the all-knowing Beyonder reached a point where he decided that, maybe my purpose is to become altruist. So he was sort of going around for a little bit there, trying to more or less be a good guy, help others out. You know, Beyonder was all powerful, never had a purpose, so he's trying to find one. And in this issue of Fantastic Four, it's Johnny Storm focused. Okay, in it, it opens up to a lady who's wearing a lab coat. She's trying to write a report, and she names the deceased. Thomas Handsome. He's 13 years old. I was 12 at the time, so there you go. And it says that he died of third-degree burns, and she's just not satisfied with that. There's more to the story. So she kind of goes out, and we start getting the story. And the story is actually titled Hero. And there's old Tommy there. He's at his locker, and that's him there. And what you start finding out, Byrne wrote a very straightforward and simple story, I would guess, because he was told you have to do the crossover. These didn't really. This is probably at the dawn of company-wide crossovers. I'm trying to think. I believe this was the first one Marvel really did. So he wrote. He probably had his plots going on, and so it was no wonder that this was the story. And as you look at the art that John Byrne has put in here, yeah, you see a kid at school, but if you look real close in his locker, you see all these pictures of Johnny Storm, and that's the thing with Tommy. His favorite hero in the Marvel universe, in the Marvel world that he's a part of, there is Johnny Storm. Kids pick on him. He has no friends. A little boy walks up with a magazine that's got a huge article on the Human Torch he's never seen, and he tells the kid, "I'll give it to you if you do my math for a month." So he gets all excited. They throw it to him after he begs for the comic. He's late for class. He goes in there, and the teacher catches him reading it, and she takes it from him, and he doesn't get it back. Later, the kids are waiting for him after school and says, "It doesn't matter that you lost the magazine. You're still doing my homework for a month." So he goes home, and he goes into the apartment. He checks the messages. He's a lock and key kid. He's really lonely, but he goes into his bedroom and he has all sorts of Johnny Storm, Human Torch posters and stuff. So finally, he goes up onto the roof of his building in New York, and there's a guy with a ponytail and a little Van Dyke, you know, sitting there flying a miniature plane that he's built with fuel. And the kid looks over. I don't know. I think the guy left or something. He looks over, and the guy's left the fuel can for his experimental little tiny plane and stuff. And then we cut to Johnny Storm and the Fantastic Four and some things going. And the lady at the beginning of the issue who's writing up the report, tells Johnny, you need to come see this kid. It's in the hospital and he's dying. Johnny Storm gets to the hospital and the kid's wrapped in bandages. And right before he dies, he gets Johnny Storm to come over there, pulling from Citizen Kane kind of. He doesn't say Rosebud. He tells Johnny Storm, I want to be just like you. He had taken the fuel can and dumped all of the fuel on him and lit the match. And Johnny Storm is just devastated. He leaves the hospital. He's all shook up. He gets ready to flame on to fly, and he catches a cab. Now, right here, I kind of know, I think, where Byrne might have gotten a little inspiration for this. In the 70s, Fantastic Four had a cartoon. Most of them were written by Stan Lee, at least that's what it said. And the thing that was notable, they'd already had a cartoon in the 60s with the Kirby Stan Lee Fantastic Four, but in the 70s, Johnny Storm was missing, and they had a robot called Herbie in there. And Herbie was introduced in the comics, I think, by Marv Wolfman, Keith Pollard, maybe. And I think this might have been one of the issues that John Byrne had done way before he became regular penciler and writer. But anyway, I digress there. But what had happened is in the early 70s, Saturday morning cartoons mom groups came up and said that Saturday morning cartoons was garbage, and they started setting up rules saying that there needs to be a moral to the story, and we need to watch what our kids are watching, and instead of explaining things to them and realizing that kids, may know that, cartoons aren't real, but anyway, they said that Johnny Storm is too dangerous and kids may light themselves on fire, so they put in Herbie. Yeah. So that story was really impactful, man, because like even though it was a comic book and stuff, it was written with real kids in the real world. And it's got that 80s feel to it because a lot of the movies in the 80s were about underdogs and the kids like the Goonies and the Explorers and Stand By Me and stuff and the underdogs. So Johnny Storm's ready to just quit everything. He's devastated. He's probably going to quit the Fantastic Four. He can't do it. This kid lit himself on fire because he worshipped me and wanted to be like me, and he died right in front of him. This is a guy that, when you step back, this is a guy who has like traveled across the world. He races race cars. He's a adrenaline junkie. He's met Inhumans and other races and gone to other dimensions and stuff. And then all of a sudden, here's a very real story with a real kid. So the Beyonder pops up and he gets him and he actually takes him back in time and lets Johnny Storm see Tommy and gets a taste of his life a little bit. And then he sees Tommy in his bedroom on his bed reading the comics with everything. And the Beyonder explains to him, you're just not getting it, Johnny. Johnny's like, why are you showing me all this stuff? He's freaking out and it's not helping his guilt. And the Beyonder is like, I don't think you get it. Here in his place that he calls my bedroom, his inner sanctum, you know, he has no friends and he's in this apartment by himself and everything like that. He didn't die because of you. He was able to live life because of you. You brought him joy to his life. And, you know, it's pretty good, and it ends with Johnny feeling all right about it. He's back. He finally flames on at the end of the story here and stuff. So anyway, that's my favorite John Byrne story. Real quick, the people that I'm going to tag, I went through my little list there and stuff, and I hope you guys want to do it, and I hope you guys tag 3 people, and I hope at the beginning of your video you mention, me and anybody else, yep, and you give the instructions that anybody else you want to name who's already made a video, go check them out, do that too. But I'm going to go with Comichoarder, Vincru, and Ghostcritic, okay? And I might message them to see if they want to do this. Okay, guys, John Byrne community, comic book community tag video. All right. Later.